Sitting by the river bank, Kosi cried out her eyes. She cried and cried. She cried so much, and she could feel the heaviness on her chest as she cried. She had no one to console her, except by gazing into the deep waters right in front of her. She could not explain how Emeka could have abandoned her just at the time she was hoping to spend the rest of her life with him. Kosi came back one day and she got the shock of her life. She saw that Emeka, who she has had 5 years relationship with, was going to get married to another maiden in the village called Adana. Adana appeared to be slimmer, more beautiful, while she, on the other hand, has tried effortlessly to lose weight and be more beautiful. Adana felt that Emeka abandoned her because of her weight. She cried, just mind looking at the invitation card of Adana and Emeka. She could not stop crying. She could not believe that she has wasted 5 years of her life waiting and hoping she will spend the rest of her years with Emeka, whom she has grown to love so much. She was inconsolable. At that moment, she said to herself, if only my mother was alive, she would have guided me on the right path to take. She would have guided me. She would have also guided me. She would have made me understand why the world is so cruel. Maybe I would have had someone to cry to. Well, Kosi still had a father. Her father was old and grey. He knew that his daughter was worried and there was very little he could do. Kosi's father loved her so much because she was his only child. Ever since her mother passed away, Kosi's father did not remarry. He took his time to raise his dear daughter, Kosi, into being a matured woman. But he knew that Kosi was not happy because of her weight, and she felt that suitors are not coming towards her because of how big she looks. And now, the only hope she felt she had was Emeka. Now Emeka has abandoned her to go and get married to Adana. That night, her father sat her down under the moonlight. My daughter, he said, do not beat yourself over the affair that ended. God will bring your own man. And our God works in mysterious ways. You'll be surprised how your own man will come. Kosi could not understand. If she felt her father was just trying to console her, how else will my man come when this one I've been with all these years has just abandoned me? She was inconsolable. The next morning, she was walking by the river bank like she always does. Because in her village, her father was a fisherman. She was just walking, trying to just take off the pain from her chest and taking solace from the fresh breeze of the water. Suddenly, it started raining. There was a huge storm. It was raining so badly. And all of a sudden, Kosi was trying to run home before she gets so wet. Suddenly, she noticed a man in the raging waters. And she saw a man trying to survive because his boat has capsized. What do I do now? Do I just let this man drown? Kosi ran toward the raging water, not minding that her own life was at stake. She ran towards the water and she tried to rescue the man. The more she tried to rescue him, the man was also trying to rescue himself and was dragging her deeper into the water. At some point, she thought about her own life. What if I die in this water? What will my father do? My father cannot survive it. With her last strength, she said to the man, you need to help me to help you. And with her last strength, she was able to wrap the man round with pieces of her cloth and dragged him out of the water. Oh, she was so exhausted. The man was so exhausted that he just collapsed, and Daisy was so tired. She managed to sit by his side until he regained consciousness, and she got help and took him down to her father's hut. When she got home, she boiled some hot herbs and gave him to drink. Take these herbs, it will do you some good. You know it, as you have just survived death by whiskers. By morning, the villagers have gathered around her father's hut. The news have gone far that a stranger was in the village, and Kosi has rescued the stranger. He stood outside her father's hut because they wanted to know who the stranger was. They were scared he might be an enemy or a spy. Adela came out of her hut, shouting at the villagers, "What do you want? Why are you all gathered in front of my father's hut? We want to know the stranger you have brought to this village. He might be an enemy or a spy." Adela said to them, "Why do you all think of nothing but evil? This man just needed help, and all I offered him was just help. Go away. We don't need your help. We have not asked any of you for help. Go away and mind your business." Adana knew they were mocking her. And even among the crowd, some said, "Okay, you have rescued him because you want him to marry you, because no one will marry you." Oh, her heart was broken once again. That night, her father sat her and the young gentleman down, and he said, "Young man, who are you? How did you get here?" And the young man narrated his story. "My name is Dimeji. I have come from far. I'm a merchant who deals in goods. When I was coming through the river, my boat capsized. I lost some of my men, and all my goods are gone." He told him about his parents, his business that was thriving in the city. His father said, "This village is a very small village. When strangers come in, they become suspects. Well, my daughter and I can keep you here until you're able to go back to the city." He was so grateful, and he thanked Kosi's father so much. That night, Kosi and Adana sat down together and they had a long chat. And Dimaji told Kosi all about himself. "I am just a merchant. I do well in the city. I've only come here because I was stranded in the sea. Thank you for saving my life." By morning, news had spread like wildfire that some men were looking for a gentleman who they feel have come into the village. And the description they were looking for fits that of Dimeji. When Adana heard it, she went to Dimeji. "You told me you're a merchant. Why did you lie to me and my father? Now some people are here. They are looking for you. What do I do? We don't want any trouble. The answer we did was just to save you." "Calm down," Dimeji said. "I am a merchant. I bought some business with some people that worth a lot of money. Now they think I have run away with their goods. How do I explain to them that everything has been drowned in the sea? They will not believe me. They will kill me. Please help me. Don't leave me now. You have saved me. What do we do now?" Kosi's father was more confused. "Oh, what have I brought upon myself and my family? Kosi, what have you brought upon us? The only way out now is to escape. You have to leave this village by morning, because these villagers will expose us. They will expose you, and if they find him, it might be bigger trouble. You have to leave Kosi. Take him to your mother's village. Take him to Roku, your mother's village. I know you can find your way through the sea, and I know you'll be safe." Kosi's father showed her a map that night of how to get to Oruku, Kosi's mother's village. By morning, when it was down, in the early hours of the morning, Kosi and Dimeji packed their things and they escaped from the village. They ran and ran for their dear life. Kosi did not know why she was taking such a risk with a total stranger. but she could not help it. They took the boats and they went through the waters and to the other part of the forest. They did not get there until about nighttime. By the time they got to the other part of the forest, they were totally exhausted. Kosi sat down and cried. She doesn't know why she was crying. She missed her father who was alone in his hut. She didn't know the pain her father must have been going through. And here she was in the forest with a total stranger. Dimeji consoled her. I'm sorry I'm taking you through so much pain. I promise I will make it up to you. Please don't leave me now. That same night, the men were looking for Dimeji. They searched through the forest looking for him. Oh, we can't find him. We have to go back and get a bigger man's search to search for him. Dimeji and Kosi hid in the forest and they made sure that nobody saw them. By morning, they continued their journey by sea. They got their boats and their fishing nets ready. Thankfully, Kosi knew about the river. She knew so much about the river, about taking the boats, because she had learned all this from her father, who was an affluent fisherman in their village. They gradually sailed the boats down to her mother's village in Oroku. Just as they were approaching her mother's village, there was a huge storm again, and their boat was raging on the storm. Oh my God, not again, Kosi cried. Not again, not a storm again. Don't worry, Dimeji said. We will survive this again. They tried their best to ride the boat against the storm. The storm was raging so much. Sometimes Kosi will be the one rowing the boat. Sometimes she will hand over to Dimeji. The storm was raging so bad. Somehow, they managed and they found themselves on the shore. Unfortunately, they found themselves on the shore of another village, not Oroku, Kosi's mother's village, where they wanted to go. Because of the storm took their boat to a totally different village. What do we do now? Oh my God, how do we survive? Cried Kosi. Don't worry, said Dimeji. I am a man. We have survived once, we will survive again. They spent days in that forest, fending themselves from wild fruits, wild animals. Kosi could not believe her eyes that she was going through all this with a total stranger. Somehow, while they were going through this together, they noticed that they become fonder of each other. They sit down and they talk about their childhood. Dimeji told Kosi all about his business and his life in the city. One night, they entered the boat and they decided to go back to their village. This was after spending weeks in the forest without any help. They said to themselves, let us go back. If we perish, we will perish. But we cannot perish here. My family will not survive if I die here. They took the boat back to the village. As they were run back, they were able to find themselves at the brink of the village. They gathered themselves together, and at that point, they said to themselves, we have to make sure we find our way back. But we cannot go back looking like this. They did things together. The days they spent in the last few days they spent together, they found out that they individually grew likeness for each other, even though none of them said anything to each other. However, in the early hours of one morning, Kosi was walking by the bank of the river, and she sat down and remembered the pain she went through with Emeka who broke her heart. She cried and cried so much. Meanwhile, Dimeji was searching for her all over the forest, and he saw her by the bank of the river. Kosi, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And that was when she opened up and told him all about the heartbreak and how she was rejected by Emeka because she was fat. Dimeji said, no, you were not rejected. You were kept for me. because I am the man who is meant for you. What do you mean? She said. What I mean is, an anointing in that raging storm that day was not just a coincidence. It was designed by the gods, because you are just exactly the kind of woman I've always wanted. Kosi could not believe her eyes. On the spot, Dimeji asked Kosi, please marry me. Let me take you back to the city and give you the beautiful life that you deserve. Kosi could not believe it. She accepted. And that night, they sat down under the moonlight and they talked about all the beautiful memories they would create. Kosi could not believe it, that the man that she rescued from the raging storm was going to be her husband. By now, they packed all their belongings, and by morning, early hours of the morning, hand in hand, they headed back to their village. Oh, how will my old father be? Don't worry. I will promise you we'll give him a beautiful life by the time we get back. They got back to the village, and Kosi's father was worried to death. His beautiful daughter, Kosi, where has she been? They came back, and Kosi that night shared the good news with her father. And she told her father of the intention of Dimeji to marry her. Dimeji officially introduced himself and told them that yes, he really wanted to marry Kosi and take both Kosi and her father to the city. Wow, this is indeed the works of the gods, her father said, that a man that you rescued was indeed your own husband. It was unbelievable. By the fifth night, the word spread out. Her father, Kosi's father, told the king's men, my daughter is getting married. The villagers gathered, and an elaborate ceremony was held. Meanwhile, Dimeji has gone back to the city to inform his people about his marriage to Kosi. They had a big ceremony. Everybody was in attendance. People could not believe it, that the woman that was rejected because of her weight was suddenly getting married to the man of her dreams. They had a beautiful marriage, and they spent a few more days with her father in the village, enjoying the last few days in the village. They were the perfect couple. Interestingly, all those while they were together, Kosi, who used to look very fat and ugly, was glowing. Her skin was glowing. She was looking more beautiful. The villagers were wondering, we never knew she was this beautiful. Well, that is what happens when you have the man of your dreams in her life, she told them. They did so many things together. And one of the things they did together was walking by the seaside where they initially met for the very first time. That sea holds a lot of memories for them. It was the end and the beginning of a new beginning for Kosi and Dimeji. I hope you enjoyed this story. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Bye-bye.